Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. Today we're going to read some very interesting Quo channelings. I found a channeling beginning in 1990 that addressed UFO abductions, and I found some of the responses to be very enlightening. This is an older channeling, but I still find the answers to be enlightening as to what is going on now and our place in the solar system. If you don't know who Quo is, check out my recent episodes. The best way I can define them is a group of higher density or evolved beings that answer spiritual questions in channelings from a group called LL Research. They usually just answer questions, and a lot of what they teach and say really resonates with me, and I've grown a lot from the material that they've produced. We begin with the channeling on July 1st, 1990. The question this evening concerns UFO abductions. UFO abductions are occurring at an increasing rate in this country, and much is written about these gray entities who seem to do most of the abducting. Not only do the people who experience these abductions report profound feelings of fear as a result, but much is now being written about agreements between these gray UFO nauts and world leaders that suggest that these grays are seeking to enslave the population of this planet. As a result, many people who are consciously seeking the truth report a feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. What would you say to such people who feel that their free will is soon to be taken from them? In what perspective can we put this and any other phenomenon that seems to remove the ability to act as a free entity? I am that principle known to you as Quo. Greetings to each of you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Our pausing was in order to encourage this instrument to relax, as during the challenging process it had become most fierce in protecting the purity of the contact and was consequently clenched as for battle. We do wish those who are vocal channels for the confederation of planets in the service of the infinite Creator to be alert, however clenched, is somewhat beyond our needs. The subject of which we are to speak this evening is a subject that is indeed on the minds and in the hearts of many who have had experiences with so-called extraterrestrial entities. Since we who come in the name of the love and light in service to others are also alleged UFO entities, it is what we would call our loyal opposition, of which we would speak this evening. Let us move backwards from the heart of the question to describe methods whereby entities external to your planet and its web of energies are given access to the attention of those who are incarnate upon your planet at this time. We who come in the name of unconditional love and limitless light, we who are of the one infinite Creator, the one original thought, that is love, must go before a group of entities which is chosen among our confederation and which changes from time to time, and offer to them our intentions, our plan, if you will, for aiding entities upon your planet. These requests for service are taken most seriously, and it is an honor indeed to be allowed, through quarantine, to be able to share our thoughts with those who ask for them. You may ask why the planet is quarantined. It is quarantined because it has been put, shall we say, in an unbalanced state by those from the Confederation who have, in your past, erred in decision-making. To avoid this occurring again, the planet was quarantined some of your years ago. Why do we wait for the calling and not speak to any who would listen? As a curiosity, we could speak to many. However, we have found by careful experiment that attempts to speak to those who are not specifically calling for information which we are able to offer will be misused, misunderstood, and ineffectual regarding the goals which we have, which is to offer information to those of your peoples who request it and who will use it. Just as these are those whose path is service to others, there are those whose path is service to self and control over others. This is not a strangeness to your thinking. Each who sits in this circle of seeking together knows those whose delight is in controlling, sometimes not even for the benefit of the self, those who have truly moved along the path of negativity, or as it's sometimes called, the path of that which is not, or again, that which is sometimes called the path of separation, control strictly for their own benefit. Because of the fact that positive information, that is, information of love and light and service to others, information concerning the path of unity and peace and love, is available to those who ask, it was considered right or just that an opportunity be given to those whose call was for information of a negative type, who desired information on the path of service to self and control over others. Consequently, in your web of space and time, there were built in with the impossibility of prediction of where or when these windows of opportunity that occur, openings in the web of time and space, in space, time, that if the negative entities were able to be there at the correct time, would place them in a position to offer the information to those who requested it. There are various densities of learning, both in the service to others path and in the service to self path. Those entities in the service to others path always obey free will and will not abridge it, because if they do so, they cannot sustain the contact with the vocal channel that has been able to receive the information they have come to offer. Those who are, shall we say, of a more sophisticated nature along the path of service to self, having wisdom as well as love, that is the love of the self, await the free will contact of those who seek negative information. For such contacts are likely to be fruitful in the negative sense and satisfactory in the transferring of information which is helpful to those who are upon the path of service to self in your density and who are preparing for harvest. Those entities who are less sophisticated and closer to your density, that is, who are of the density of love, feel that they have come in simple conquest. Therefore, they do not feel there is any need whatsoever to avoid the abridgment of free will, for their thoughts are those of warriors who attempt to battle what they see as a light which must be put out, a strength which must fail, a faith which must be vanquished, a foolish group of people who are not aware of the relativity of the illusion as they understand it. Speaking ethically, we gaze at the battle of situational ethics versus ideals. In your third density illusion, it has been clear from the first Ophidian representative of negativity in your Garden of Eden to the great dragon that now thrashes its tail among your people in its death throes, that the illusion seems to be weighted heavily, sometimes on the side of the negative or service to self path. This is a necessary and salutary virtue of your illusion. It is the background of the drama against which each of you shall make a choice that is so important that the remainder of millions of your years of life, a significant portion of the life of yourself within this creation, will depend upon it. You may choose to be foolish, unworldly, and idealistic and find yourself constantly at odds with situational ethics, which is the way the world wags. Or you may choose to be those who serve the self, what this instrument would call numero uno. The negative path is a path that leads to the Creator. It is simply a difficult and long path. In this density in which one attempts to learn the lesson of love and is perfecting lessons of social intercourse and movements toward the light, the negativity revolves about learning to do those things which one considers to serve the self more of the time. Those upon the positive path will be attempting the exact opposite of this. That is, they will be attempting to think in terms of service to others, or simply service of any kind because of the love of the infinite Creator which is in their hearts. They are attempting more and more to spend their precious few moments of this small time of choice, choosing again and again to help, to attempt to be of service. In both cases, positive and negative, it is the attempt, the sincerity of the desire which registers as the polarizing factor of the entity. Thus, those who are indifferent in your density are those most to be mourned, for as they eat and drink and be merry without regard to serving others or the self, they simply continue in the density of experience, finding upon graduation that they have not graduated. They have not learned to love. They have not learned to turn towards the light or to use the light. And so they shall be given not hell, any more than third density is hell, but simply another third density experience lasting approximately 75,000 of your years. Positive entities who have polarized adequately move into fourth density, become closer and closer, and begin to form themselves into societies so harmonious, because of all thoughts being open one to another, that they become social memory complexes. Each entity within this society able to know and to feel whatever has been known and felt by all other entities within that particular group. In this setting, which is far more harmonious and far less given to strife, the lessons of love and service and compassion and understanding are perfected to a minimal point. It does not have to be perfect, but it must be such that the next density, with its greater density of light, may be accepted with great comfort and enjoyment, and therefore be the native light which that entity has earned. In negative fourth density, there is a similar attempt to polarize ever more strongly to perfect the lessons of love. In the negative case, it is always the love of the self and control over others, which is a constant drain upon those who are in fourth density negative, for they form uneasy alliances and are always ready to challenge someone they think they know best in order to gain their power and to control them. Thus, although thoughts may be known by all, thoughts are attempted to be hidden, armored, and guarded in as many ways as possible. Then the entities must gain enough of a strength of love of self and the ability to use that love in what they think is honest service to the Creator, whom they love, to be able to use light of the next density, which is that of wisdom. In fifth density, positive and negative, one finds a good deal of isolation of entities, both positive and negative, seeking the path that is its unique path, holding finally the wisdom of knowing itself totally. However, in fifth density positive, there is the constant flowing back towards community and communion, the communal meals, the communal services of worship and adoration to the one infinite Creator, and happy blending of mates and friendship. In fifth density negative, there is nothing for the fifth density entity but the cave, the rock, the solitude, and the seeking. Graduation to sixth density is very difficult for the negative polarity, for sixth density is the density of unity. When negative entities reach the point in sixth density at which they fully understand the lessons of sixth density, that is, that all things are one, they find that their negative path is at an end. They are at its standstill, unable to evolve one iota more. Using every bit of determination, will, and faith that they have, they cause themselves to switch polarity in order that they may go on evolving. This seems at the time to be a service to self-choice, for one thing that may be said of all densities is that there is an undeniable drive towards evolution. However, when the negative entity has switched polarity, it quickly discovers the sweetness of its choice. It must review a great deal of material it has missed, but it is the convert that is more fervent, if anything, than the one who has always been positive. It is the most positive of positive entities, the most loving, the most desirous of service, for it knows that it has finally discovered the truth that will continue its evolution. Therefore, you see that of which we shall speak in a moment must be seen against a backdrop of a great length of time. And indeed, in sixth density is not the end of learning, for those in sixth density study and perfect the combining of compassion and wisdom until compassionate wisdom has been grasped to an acceptable point. And the final lessons of egolessness and foreverness begin to be yearned for, to be learned, and so there is another graduation into the density of foreverness. Now in mid-sixth density, your future self turns towards you in what seems to be the past and gives you a gift, the gift of yourself in a state of compassionate wisdom. This is your truth within. It is yourself. In mid-seventh density, as a spiritual gravity begins to move the ego into a lack of desire for form, for self, that creature turns back and in turn gives a gift to the mid-sixth density entity, so that in actuality each entity in third density has two levels of its own guidance to depend upon, which are gifts from your future, as you would call it in your illusion. The mid-seventh density gift is quite simply the total data of all possible choices and all possible tracks at all decision points that have been registered along the way. It is a very subtle and complex gift, holding within its memory all those dreams that were not followed, all those paths that were not taken, and the results that would have happened had these paths been taken. It is your deepest intuition, and it is your gift to yourself. As the seventh density entity loses all need to feel selfhood, the power of love, which has infinite intelligence and no awareness of self at all, calls it home, and it rejoins the Creator, which is intelligent infinity. At that point, so we understand from those few who have come to us from future creations, loss of self is in itself an illusion, for that which the Creator has created is never lost. There is no beginning over. The knowledge of this entire octave of creation is simply a gift to love itself, and love learns about love. And the heart of the universe beats once more, and a new creation based upon the learnings of the previous begins. As far as we know, this is an infinite process, but we urge you to be always aware that all things of which we speak are our opinions only. They are not infallible, and we only give you that which we believe to be true. You must hold each thing which we say to you to the mirror of your own discrimination. And if it is not your personal truth, if it does not seem to spring from your memory with a recognition and a resonance to you, then it is not your truth, and we ask you humbly to let it lie, for we would not be a stumbling block before you. Now let us return to the drama of third density, as both positive and negative entities are attempting consciously to achieve harvestability to positive fourth density or negative fourth density. Many are the stories of contacts and arrangements betwixt governments or individuals within governments and those who are not from your world, because there is no way we could speak of these things that would not interfere with the free will of those who hear these words or read them. We shall simply say that were such things possible, they would be part of an illusion which is soon to end, part of the fifth act of a play. You may make it a comedy or a tragedy. It is not anyone's choice but your own. There have indeed been many landings, abductions, and that which seems to be abduction but is in reality work upon the computer within you, which you call your brain, placing within it programs which seem as much the truth to the one experiencing such upon awakening as any other memory. The basic intention here is to create fear. There are other designs which we cannot speak of because of the same law of free will, but we can say that they are inconsequential to those who choose to live a life of faith. Yes, these things are occurring, and yes, many positive contacts are also occurring for those who seek in love and light and the purity of intention. Of course, both experiences will be far more active towards the end of a cycle. Your density is quickly moving towards its end, and you shall, each of you, walk the steps of light. When you find the light that comforts you the most, you shall be either in third density or fourth. The polarizing that you do now is that which you came to do. The judgment that so many fear among your people is a simple and objective matter of how much density of light you have learned to use. There is no fire and brimstone, objectively speaking, for those who must repeat third density, but only the matter of fact reincarnation upon a third density planet. And another very short period of time, 75,000 years or so in your measure, to make the choice to love and serve the one infinite Creator by serving others, and by serving the Creator, or by serving the self, which is serving the Creator, which is of course understood to be the self. Now, there is fire and brimstone, there are angels and harps. There is anything that an entity has desired by way of healing and expressing that which it wishes after the incarnation, and it may rest in this heaven or this hell until it is ready to release the third density experience, in which these things were necessary archetypal images to undergo the healing of the previous incarnation, to view it, to see that which was learned and that which was half learned, and with the aid of the higher self and many other angelic presences, you may call them, or extraterrestrial entities, to determine those lessons which each shall focus upon in its fourth density incarnation. Always are you in the classroom. Always are you learning. And yet always do you have the choice to make the learning merry or solemn, to find the vacations and the playtime, or the weariness and the tiredness and the hopelessness. Those who do not polarize do not control what occurs to them with any particular preferred reaction. Reaction is random. Those who wish to polarize in service to others choose by faith to feel that all situations are situations in which service is possible. That simply to be and to love the Creator, to worship and adore that love which created each of them, is a service worth performing. And indeed, may we see that as many upon your planet awaken to this choice, the consciousness of the planet has grown lighter and lighter in the past few years, as this instrument would measure what you call time. You are never without the ability to choose that which occurs to you, because if you have no fear, you may have negative experiences which you will see only as environments in which to learn challenging lessons of love. Positive entities can gaze at one, shall we say, of the loyal opposition, and find in this contact the opportunity to realize that this entity too is a part of the self, and is to be loved and blessed and prayed for and cared for and taken into the heart. It has been said in your holy works that it is easy to love those who love you. Better is it then to love those who revile you and wrongfully use you without fear. These entities, who are called the Greys, or any other entity or situation whatsoever which is attempting to make one feel helpless and out of control, are completely malleable and transformable by love. Love unhindered by any fear, for indeed there is nothing to fear. You yourself are not either a good person or a bad person. You are, if you can consider good and bad as the full circle of being, a 360-degree being. It is by your choices that you define who you are and where your loyalties, where your choices and your faith will lie. And as you move further and further, building choice upon choice and polarizing towards service to others in the name of the one infinite Creator, as you become more and more transparent channel for the love and the light of the Infinite One, you create your life. You do not react to it, for the reactions are automatically those of one who seeks to help. We realize we have spoken too long and we are apologetic, but there was much information to put into perspective these seemingly terrifying events. They are local third density phenomena. They are controllable by love, faith, and honest realization of one's union with all that there is. Whether it be called good or bad, the duality is an illusion. You are all things. It is your choices which create the you that is unique and will be refined from this point through density after density after density. This is your choice. These are your precious moments. Know in your heart how passionately you wish to move on and evolve as a spirit, an imperishable metaphysical being of light. Your physical evolution in this density is over. Your spiritual evolution is beginning. Make your choices fervently, carefully, and persistently. In order to aid you in these choices, and in your point of view, we ask two things of you. First, we ask that you find a path that includes love of the Infinite One shown as worship, adoration, or simple attention on a daily basis. We do not ask for any particular path to be followed. We are not those who ask for one religion or another. You choose the path that works for you and brings you into awareness of your true self and your true relationship with the Infinite One. Daily time spent in silence, listening for the voice that is silent but speaks so loudly, is recommended as an aid to this process of choice. Our other request of you is that you be light-hearted and merry, to find every chance to be joyful and to love one another, not as a solemn duty, not as a reason to polarize. That negates the polarization, but find joy in the service that gives you the true freedom and peace of doing that which you have now found that you wish to do with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and all your strength. Be merry in your service, be merry in your worship, for the most serious choices of millions of years are being made by you now, and you would be crushed by your own solemnity and your own realization of your importance of this choice, did you not have the saving grace of a sense of humor. See the illusion and the choices that you make, not only as the life and death choices that they are, but also as part of the unimaginably funny human comedy of soap opera. Oh, how high your emotions run, and how important everything seems. Step back whenever you feel too intensely disturbed, or saddened, or despairing, or inconsolable. Step back and see thousands of years that lie before and after this moment. See the true situation if you are upset with someone. Be ridiculous with him mentally. Undress that person, cause that person to act in a ridiculous manner in your mind. Tell him off. Take the clown's bat and harmlessly bat him about while the circus audience laughs. Do whatever is necessary for you to break the spell of the illusion, and then gaze up at the stars, which are part of the love of the infinite creator, and know that you are a player upon a stage, and you do not choose the comedies and the happy endings, and have no wish to be stabbed through in great Shakespearean agony in the fifth act. The critic that is you can be assured will give you a better review for the comedy. We are thankful to this instrument for allowing us to use it to speak upon a subject which its long history of study of the particular subject at hand had rendered it somewhat less than agog with interest concerning. However, we hear the call of many who wish this information, and we thank this instrument and leave it in love and light. At this time, we would move to the one known as Jim. I am Quo. I am Quo, and greet each of you again in love and light through this instrument. At this time, we would offer ourselves in the attempt to speak to any queries which are upon the minds of those present. Again, reminding you that we give that which is but our opinion, but we give it happily and honestly. We ask that those words that ring of truth be the only ones that are retained, leaving all others behind. Is there a query at this time? Carla, I have one question. Is it true that the free will that was being not abridged by the refusal to give certain information was mine? I do not wish to give any information that would cause any involvement with government forces of any kind. I don't wish that kind of attention. I don't want that kind of knowledge, and I don't want to channel that kind of information. Was it my free will, or is it the free will of all that was being observed? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. The free will of which we spoke was your free will in the manner that you have described, and also included the free will of those who would have received the information. Thus, we chose not to give that particular information, for we do not wish to become a stumbling block to any. Do you consider that the information I requested not to discuss is of any value to the spiritual seeking of those on planet Earth at this time? I am Quo, and am aware of your query. We see little apparent or actual value in such information, in that it partakes of that which is the sparkling toy, lasting in the total beingness but for a moment until another toy replaces it. We wish to give that information which endures, and do not wish to distract entities from their journeys by giving that which is of but the moment's interest. Question, then you're speaking of all phenomena that point towards the fact that there is a mystery creator behind this illusion, not just the information that was discussed this evening. That is, not just UFOs, but Bigfoot and glass skulls and that kind of thing. Is that correct? I'm Quo, and again, we agree basically with your summation of the kind of phenomenology that we speak of. There is at this time much of distraction within the daily round of activities for most of the peoples of your culture, and there is much information in the areas that are primarily focusing upon the external appearance of phenomena that hold the potential for even greater distraction. Therefore, it is the heart of beings and entities that we wish to speak. Is there a further query, my sister? Question, then was it part of the plan of the Creator that these things and many others in all sorts of walks of life be plaints and questions which have no answers, but which point to a mystery and are therefore of value in that way? In other words, do phenomena have the value of pointing towards the mystery, or the noumenal, or the imperishable? I am Quo, and this is correct, my sister. Is there a further query? No, I'm satisfied. I am Quo, and we thank you again, my sister. Is there another query? I have one last question for you. Are you still pointed towards a mystery? I am Quo, and we are indeed pointed towards a great mystery of being, looking beyond what little we know into the great distances, depths, heights, and vistas of seeking and knowing, being and becoming, so that we discover more and more how our choices are the essence of the Creator knowing itself. Is there another query, my sister? No. I am Quo, and we again thank you, my sister. I am Quo, and as it appears we have exhausted the queries, we would take our leave of this instrument and this group, thanking each for inviting our presence, and leaving each in the love and light of the one infinite Creator. We are known to you as those of Quo. Adonai, my friends. Adonai. So this channeling kind of summarizes a lot of information that we've discussed previously on the podcast in regards to our transition into fourth density and the nature of the conflict between negative and positive polarity. We are reminded again that we are in the end of a 75,000 year cycle, and we are here to make a choice. And if we don't make the choice, or we are kind of blind to what's happening, we will then move on to another planet and restart another 75,000 year cycle. I find it interesting that it's only at the end of the cycle that someone can graduate, meaning you can be of great service to others in year 25,000 and not be harvested. I've seen some information that seems to contradict this, that it's possible that you could harvest yourself within the cycle. I believe that they've mentioned that there are smaller cycles of 25,000 years that go along with this. But we read scary stories about UFOs all the time, and there is lots of scary stuff happening in the world. And as they emphasize, this is all of the moment and not to be focused upon. I had somebody that messaged me about some ridiculous conspiracy theories, if true or not, telling me about children and evil demons and blood sacrifice. And I simply said, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that stuff. So please, no need to share that with me. And they said, well, Brian, I'm never going to follow you again because you're not aligned with me. Okay. The point is, there's always going to be these negative entities, and they have a goal of control, but don't make that your focus. If you do, it can kind of lead you along the wrong path. You're here to make a choice, and you're constantly being given experiences and catalysts that allow you to make this choice of choosing the self for others, and it becomes magnified at the end of this cycle. So there are negative aliens out there, reptilians or greys that are abducting people, and there's definitely some sort of war going on, but I'm not going to freak myself out about it. I'm not going to look for conspiracies and everything. I'm simply going to stay in the moment, try to be of service to those who are around me in ways that I can be of service, and I will try to change this reality by adding love to it and raising the vibration of it. That's really all that I can do. I do not believe that we can be enslaved, because once we understand our true power, as they seemingly indicate, when you understand the power of love and unity, you can transform those people. It's very powerful and amazing. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to the Reality Revolution.